When you start living with the end in mind, everything starts to change. What are people going to say about you? What message is your life going to speak when you're long gone? Because you weren't born by accident. You didn't just happen to be where you're at and happen to watch this video. There is always a reason.
Welcome, guys. I just want to welcome you to the Fuse Life podcast, episode number 40. As you know, in Fuse Life, we are all about God-given assignment, God-given destiny. You are born with a purpose, on purpose, for a purpose. And my guest, he actually runs a program called Recovered on Purpose. I am super excited to introduce my guest today. This guy, I met him probably end of last year or beginning of last year at a conference in America with 100X. You guys already know about 100X. And he's all fire. And as I get to know him more and more, and as we develop a friendship, man, I am so pumped for what he's going to do on the earth. So, Adam, I just want to welcome you, bro. Thank you so much for your time and for being here with us.
Yeah, brother. Thanks so much for having me. Super stoked. Super stoked.
Boom. We get straight into it, man. Like, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, just an overview, and then we'll go into your story and everything like that.
Yeah, what I'm doing right now, I actually have 10 people in my program, and I cut it at 10 because I'm creating a digital course for recovered addicts to get their stories out. Right now, I have 10 people in the course because basically I'm doing live one-on-one coaching with them and creating this course to spread out to the world. Recovered on Purpose is a new thing for recovered addicts that isn't out there yet. The problem is that so many addicts are getting clean, and then that's their life. And their life is centered around whether it be not using or just being grateful to be alive. So Recovered on Purpose, and the whole point of it is to reconnect them with the purpose and the dream and the vision that's inside of them, to get them connected to a passion when they wake up. So they don't even, like, we don't have to do all the steps all the time to make us not think about using drugs, because we're so connected with what we're doing with our lives.
Bro, I love it. And in many ways, I'm doing a similar kind of thing, but I'm doing it with Christians. Like maybe a drug addict who stops using and then they just try their best not to use. Christians kind of step away from the world, but then they just do their best to just go to church, and they have no purpose and no life. So I'm totally vibing with you, man. This is awesome. So let's go into this thing, man. Like, tell us a little bit about your story, your childhood, your upbringing, and let's flow from there.
Yeah, I had a great childhood, man. I grew up in the Columbine community. So part of my story, I was in 4th grade when the Columbine shooting happened. I was in Columbine Hills Elementary, and I just remember that was like the first time that I recognized a type of fear in my life, because I remember being out at recess, and then all of a sudden, all the teachers and everybody were running around and like rounding us up and putting us in lines to go into our classrooms. And I remember like not understanding, but feeling a different kind of energy that I'd never felt before. And then we were locked in our school and in our classroom. So that was like the first type of fear that I felt. But throughout my childhood, I mean, I was on the state championship football team all throughout. Like, we won state every year but once, I think, growing up, and won nationals once also. My baseball team, I remember my 8th grade year, I made a triple play at third base to close out the semifinals of the state championship game, and we ended up going on and winning the state championship there, and then we went to the World Series. I was a home run derby hitter for the World Series for Little League. And then when I went into Columbine High School, just sports were a huge part of my life. The problem was that I had this hidden drug issue that started when I was 12. And what happened in my life was I was introduced to 2 really negative influences. And I take full responsibility, and I don't suggest anybody ever pass off responsibility on influences. But it is a huge factor of my life. The people that you surround yourself with are who you become. And I just surrounded myself with, it was 2 really bad influences between 12 and 14, 15 that just kind of snowballed. And I was hiding it as I was, the captain of the football team, captain of the wrestling team. We won state my senior year. And this, like, I was just using drugs the whole time behind. But the problem was that I didn't realize how bad what I was doing was. I didn't realize like that 10 years later, I would be in a crack house staring down the barrel of a drug dealer's gun and hoping he would pull the trigger. Like I was 10 years ago, I'm running around on Invesco Field with the state championship trophy, and I'm running around so excited, and then that's where my life led. So that's what the point of Recovered on Purpose is to raise up the recovered addicts to share their experiences with the younger generations so that they understand what these choices are doing. Mm-hmm. My problem was that for some reason I knew that I was doing wrong. I knew that I was rebelling. I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing it, but I didn't realize the legitimate consequences. I wasn't able to understand the time aspect of life. I thought that I was young and invincible forever. And then all of a sudden I was not. I was found dead behind the wheel of a car November 6th of 2015 at a stop sign with my car running in drive. They found me like this, slumped over the steering wheel.
Crazy.
Of an overdose.
Crazy. Bro, let's just go there here. So when you first started, who gave you your first drugs? And, you know, what were you thinking, how you took it, what happened? Tell us a little bit.
I'm gonna keep out who actually gave it to me.
Yeah, no names and stuff, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. But just, I mean, I made one friend that him and I just kind of did a lot of bad stuff together. We just we smoked a lot of weed. We did cocaine when we can find it. And then I had an older influence that gave me drugs early on. Yeah.
Yeah. And so throughout your schooling time, you're going to school, you're doing all this, but you're still doing that in the background.
Yeah. 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 And growing up, like, man, I was like chess club. I was, they asked me to skip 6th grade or 7th grade, one of those grades. Cause I was in all these, I had to leave my elementary school because they couldn't teach me anymore. So I had to go to this preparatory school that had the classes for me. And then in 8th grade, I had to go to high school in the morning for like English, French, and math. But what I've learned is that none of that matters. That doesn't make you invincible. It doesn't do anything for you, because my life went a crazy turn, bro. It just went a crazy turn. And what I encourage, like, if you're a parent, the number one thing is you're a parent, and the influences in your children's lives are what's going to define their future. Period. We love to say that our kid is golden boy. We love to say that our kid is getting straight A's and our kid is this and this and that, but that's only going to last as long as they have that type of positive influence in their life. So,
yeah. Wow. So you come out of university, or you come out of your college, and then what's going on? Talk us through a little bit about that stage of your life.
Yeah. So after I left high school, I went to college, but I didn't really go to college to go to college. I just went there to party and continue my career of selling drugs. But then September 28th of 2008, I'd been out partying and drinking like most nights in my freshman year of college. And I woke up in someone else's bed to my phone ringing down by my leg. And I remember I was waking up and like I was wiping because I was still groggy from drinking, and I swam through the sheets and I found my phone. And I remember the screen being super bright. Like, I vividly remember this and looking at it, and it was my best friend Chucker calling, and it was 4:47 a.m. And when I looked at it, I remember having the conscious thought that I can either answer this like I always do with, "Hey, what's up, Chuck?" Or I could answer it the way I was feeling with, "Hello." I chose the latter, to which a small voice replied, "Hey, what's up? Why are you calling me this late?" "I was just calling to say hi." "Don't call me this late again." And I hung up on him. And he shot himself.
Man.
And then from that moment on, for 8 years, that story, that experience, that was bottled up inside of me. And I didn't tell anybody about that phone call. I was unable to. And after that phone call was the first time that I actually consciously recognized that I was drinking and using drugs to mask the way I felt. I was no longer drinking or using in order to party, have fun. Yes, I drank and used still to party, but it was no longer just to party. It was literally to bottle down all of the pain, all of the basically life. Life became, when people talk about triggers, opening my eyes was a trigger I had to use in order to feel okay from that moment on. Because from that moment on, I learned that I had to hide. I had to hide from life. I had to hide from the way that you thought about me, the way that I felt. I had to hide from it. I had to put a wall up. Everybody around me was no longer welcome. Because not only that he did that to me was my thought process, and because of me. And so for 8 years, I was stuck in that process. And then notice how I said a decade later I was in a crack house, right? So it took me another 3 years after sharing that to finally be able to get clean. Once you're stuck in this, like once you're smoking crack or shooting up those types of drugs, heroin and all that, like your odds are small. There's less than 10% of us getting a year clean. So the thing is, the problem is that too many people are, and I will help as many addicts that are suffering as possible for the rest of my life. But too many people are focused on it. Too many people are focused on helping an addict when the problem is the addict is the one that can help himself. Period. For anybody that's listening to this, the cavalry ain't coming. It's up to you. And the issue is that too many people are talking about all these different things that addicts can do to get clean. And the problem is, I didn't want to. It was my solution to life. Why would I want to get clean and then have to deal with life? So what Recovered on Purpose is we are literally giving them a kingdom on the other side of the door of getting clean. Hey, do whatever you got to do to get clean. And then come to Recovered on Purpose, because we're going to give you a purpose. We're going to give you a mission. We're going to give you something to wake up to and wake up passionately with, driven with. And you're going to have an incredible life that beyond the dreams that you're even able to think of right now. Like so many of us are caught in our identity of being a homeless drug addict. Dude, it's hard to come out of that and think that you can make a life for yourself. And something that stuck in my head at my cousin's wedding down at the Air Force Academy, my Uncle Brad, he said, man, I'm so glad that you got clean. You actually have time now to make a life for yourself, a good life for yourself. Ding. And there's so many things that we can, I'm just here to encourage, empower, and equip addicts to live the lives that they were born to live. And the awesome thing, God told me earlier this year, bro, he told me a secret. He told me that this year is the year of restoration and redemption for addicts, bro. Restoration means that, like in Job, when Satan took everything from him, yes, you can take everything from him, but then God restored it twofold. So everything that's been stolen from you, you're about to receive a double portion.
Yeah, man. Come on. I totally, with Jesus, restoration is never equal. It's always more. But let's hit this a little bit before we go into this, because at this time you don't know Jesus, you don't know God, or you're going to church or anything like that. What's the deal?
Yeah, so when I was 10, I actually gave my life to Jesus, bro.
Okay.
And I didn't grow up, like my family didn't go to church or anything like that, but I actually was walking to a church almost every Sunday by myself as a kid.
Wow.
Because from an early age, I heard him. From a very early age, he was talking to me, and then very luckily, my friend Ben we had a sleepover at my place, and I asked him, like, who is God? What is God? Like, what is this? And he just told me, well, all I know, and this is two 10-year-olds in a basement sleepover. All I know is that we need to accept him into our hearts, you know? And I was like, well, how do I do that? And he was like, well, we get on our knees. So we got on our knees across from each other. And he was like, well, do you accept Jesus into your heart? And I said, yes. And dude, like I felt everything. I remember being young and sitting there like, whoa, like felt tingling and everything. And since then I've been extremely, extremely sensitive to the Spirit. Like even like sometimes when I'm talking to you, I feel him.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I just want to take a quick minute to tell you about our Royal Hybrids group coaching program. Over a year ago, the Lord started speaking to me about a group of people, a tribe that would only get their value, their affirmation, that would only get their identity from who they are in God and nothing else. And from that place, they were going to do great things on the earth. In the last year, we have seen a whole bunch of people jump into our program, solidify themselves in their identity with God, and from that place, actually start to engage their purpose. Fuse Life talks about the 6 trees: your spirit, your soul, your body, and then your relationships, your finances, and your purpose. We have seen a whole bunch of people come through this, get solidified in who they are, and then begin their own projects, whether it's a teen mums project, whether it's a coaching, counseling business, or a painting business, publishing your children's book, publishing a puzzle book. We have seen people do all of these kind of things, and we just know that this is just the beginning. So you want to go to www.fusebornformore.com/Royal Hybrids, or just click the link in the caption and make sure to check out what we are doing. We would love to have you as part of our tribe. Now, back to the podcast.
And there's been instances like, let me tell you a quick story. When I was a junior in high school, I was on the football team, and we had this rule that if you go to a party, you either do not drink, or you stay at the house that you party at, or another football player that didn't drink or isn't drinking drives you home. And so this night, Ty, who's our huge D end that runs like a 4.4 flat 40, he's my driver. And we go to my best friend's house, and it's just 5 of us there because we're setting up the beer pong table, setting up the kegs and everything, getting ready for this like big party night. And I played a couple games of beer pong, and I won. And then I'm sitting down next to Ty, and I'm like drinking, and I'm looking ahead at my friend Travis and talking to him. And Ty's like, hey, we're going to stay here, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, so I can start drinking? I was like, heck yeah. Let me grab you a beer. And I go over to the keg, and I fill mine up. I fill his up. I sit back down next to him. I hand him his beer. I look back forward. And in that moment, I felt the Spirit enter my body from the top of my head all the way through into my toes, into my fingertips. I felt tingling. And I was no longer in control of my body. I remember having clear thoughts, but having like this overwhelming sense of fear. And this is all happening in less than a split second. And in that moment, I went like this. I was looking forward still, and my hand shot out, covered his beer as he was lifting it up to his lips. And I looked at him and I said, Ty, we got to go. And to this day, the reason why he just said, okay, like he says to this day, that something was talking to him through me, in my eyes. So we left. About 2.5 hours later, we got a phone call. When the party got going and everything was going, apparently my best friend, whose house it was, answered the door, opened it like this. Another friend was standing next to him, which is right where I would have been standing because I was his best friend. This is just like, it was us. He has the door open like this, and a gang had showed up. There was like 31 of them in like purple and yellow and stuff. And he's telling them, hey guys, we can't let you in here. This is a high school party. You know, we don't want you here. And then his sister was out in the street or something, and he yells at her, get your butt in here. And then 3 of them pulled out guns and started shooting. Bop, 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 bop. The kid who was standing next to him, he slams the door. Kid who was standing next to him turns to run, gets hit in the back of the head and killed. And 2 other people got shot. Spirit took over me and got Ty and I out of there. Ty is also a believer.
Crazy. So, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I love how you share stories, by the way. So tell me a little bit here about how you got to that place where you shared you were found dead in this behind the steering wheel. Like, what's the deal? What's going on in this journey and how you got there?
Yeah. So what I love about God is that He has blessed believers and non-believers with free will.
Mm.
I love it. Even though I took my free will and rebelled for a long time, bro, and I didn't even realize what was going on in my life. Like all of a sudden I'm shooting up, bro. All of a sudden I have to shoot up multiple times a day in order to live. Then all of a sudden I go and
But wait, how are you funding this? How are you funding your habit?
dude, I've broken records in 3 industries for door-to-door sales. Roofing,
You
pest
are.
control,
If
satellite.
I saw you on the street, would I think that, oh man, this guy's addicted to drugs and
No, dude.
really?
You had no idea. I was out going door to door. And the thing was that I had not only great numbers, but I didn't lie. Like that was I had this really good facade, bro. Like I had this ability to make you think a certain way about me while hiding every reality of myself.
Wow.
I got really good at it. I was able to go out. That was something I was blessed with. Was I never had to commit crimes to get drugs. Never. I never had to. I stole from my dad once. I stole money from him, and I felt so awful. I actually told him the next day, and I couldn't do it. But through this, I built my pest control company with a friend. I was door to door. He was doing the servicing, and we built it to huge. Like we had 6 trucks, 2-story office building within the first 8 months. Just with a needle in my arm, bro. It's crazy. But then I went out to California and I was selling satellite, DirecTV, Dish Network. But then I was in Montana, and I went and saw my girlfriend and I were on a break. My girlfriend at that time, and I went and saw her, and then I left. And I remember, I remember I was going back to my hotel, so I decided I'm not going to put meth in this shot. I'm just going to put a whole bunch of heroin in it. And I made the shot. I put it in my arm, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up in a pile of glass next to my car with ambulances and cops all over. And then I had to watch on video in a courtroom because the cops that found me had their camera on, their vest cam on, and I don't have pulse, I don't have breath, my eyes are open, and dude, I remember I'm like 45 pounds lighter than I am now, and he like dragged me out of this car and put my hands over my head, and my shirt is up over my head, and my body is like a skeleton, just a gray skeleton. And he's like doing this chest sternum rub and stuff, trying to get me up, and nothing's working. Paramedics arrive, and she is talking to the cop who's like, he's standing over me. Vest cam is standing over me. My body is straight in front of him. My hands are up over my head like this. My eyes are wide open, looking up at the sky with this just like gray look. I wasn't there, bro. And then she's talking to the cop as she's kneeling down next to me, and she goes to kneel down, and before she touches me, life. And I sit up, and I just look around, and I'm like, what the heck? And I look around, and that's where I woke up. I didn't have any encounters at that moment. I didn't wake up in heaven and then he sent me back or anything like that. And that's what sucked at the time, was that like I didn't get anything like that. It was just you're dumb. And dude, it was exactly 2 years later that I got sober. I still used.
Wow. So when did God come into the picture in a bigger way?
Yeah, I end of 2016. I'm like I don't want to keep using, but I have to. I want to kill myself, but I can't. And I don't want to keep living, but I have to. And I picked up my Bible, bro. I've had my high school sweetheart's parents gave me this Bible for my graduation.
Wow.
2007. And this thing went everywhere with me, and I never opened it.
Crazy.
Literally, I would have it sitting on my desk, and I remember like looking at it like, nope, not time yet. it's not time for that yet. Because whenever I would open it, I opened it probably 3 times in the course of a decade, and I would open it, and first sentence I would read, I'd be like, and I would put it away because it was just like God, boom, piercing me immediately. 2016, I start reading it, and it's, you know, I'm reading it regularly, but it's still just not enough, man. There's no religiosity that helps, because then all of a sudden I became obedient to reading the Bible, which is great. You should be, but then all of a sudden I'm trying to indoctrinate a system that's going to get me clean, which just doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's a reliance and a dependence upon God. Period. So fast forward, it's right before Halloween, 2017, and my life is a mess. I'm homeless. I got kicked out of a homeless shelter. So I'm like super homeless. I'm like, I'm staying at this crack shack where all the windows are boarded up. There's no electricity, no running water, and there's 22 of us over winter staying in there with this trash barrel of fire to keep us warm. But I'm at my dope dealer's house right before Halloween. His 4-year-old son is running around with his fake knife and hitting people and screaming, dead, 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 and like hitting everybody and like going crazy. And then dad, who's the dope dealer, is yelling at mom. They're married, because he just got some new dope and he wants her to try it for the first time. And she's like, no, I don't want to be the one to try it. And then they're yelling at each other. And then he looks at me and I'm like, I'm not trying it first, you know? Yeah. And then this kid is like standing right in front of me. I'm sitting down, and the drug dealer and the couple is over here. And this kid is standing in front of me, and he's like staring at his mom and dad, yelling at each other about using drugs. And then Spirit came on me. It wasn't as heavy as the experience in high school, but I knew, you know? And I remember closing my eyes and reaching out and putting my hand on his shoulder. And then Spirit was praying for him in my heart. I didn't say anything out loud, but I remember it was really, really deep. And then I opened my eyes, and the kid sat down, set the knife down, looked around the room, the garage, and then got up in the night. Fast forward to November 7th of 2017.
Hold on, let me interrupt you. Let me get you to say that again, because it kind of glitched when you did that. That was weird. So the kid stopped, and then what did he do?
He set the knife down and just looked around calmly and walked around calmly the rest of the night. And then fast forward to November 7th, 2017. And I'm in a car and I'm like yelling at God, bro. Just like, I can't do this anymore. I had used the day before. I didn't want to use again, but I felt like I had to. I was about to go to a Bible study, but I didn't have an option. And I was yelling at God. I was like, I'm not going. I should have told him, I was like, I'm not going to this Bible study. I'm not going to these meetings anymore. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to church. I'm not doing anything. Just let me die. And I was yelling at him. And then he said so softly, bro. So softly. And that's how I knew it was him. He said, it's time. Go. And I remember like hearing it, and I looked around and I was like, no. And I started screaming. I was hitting the roof of the car and yelling at him. I was like, I'm sick of this. I've tried everything. I've done everything I can do. Just let me die. Just let me die, God. And then he repeated himself. It's time. Go. And I remember in that moment, it was like this new sense of confidence and this peace just like overwhelmed me, bro. And I went to this Bible study. I was 12 minutes late. I walked into Mazevo Coffee in Billings, Montana, and I busted open those doors to that back meeting room, and they were in the middle of prayer, and I interrupted their prayer, and I was like, guys, please help me. I can't stop. I used to get it, and I can't stop. Please help me. And Brendan, who was my best friend, who's still my best friend, who led that Bible study, he like calmed me down, you know, and because this is an ongoing process. For months, I've been trying to quit, and everybody's been watching me try. Nobody believes in me at this point, bro. Nobody believes in me, you know. But he was super soft with me. He calms me down. Let's get through Bible study, you know. Then at the end of Bible study, Carmen, who was one of the elders, said he got a word that he's supposed to pray some things out of me and pray for me. And so I'm sitting on this ottoman. Carmen's in front of me. Brendan and George are over here, and Carmen's like speaking out demons, bro. Like it's a spirit of anxiety, spirit of addiction, spirit of this, spirit of that. And like I can feel like energy and different things. Like I can feel weight coming off of me. And then I remember he started speaking to the spirit of a cult, bro. And this thing, like I remember I was sitting there and he said that. And then I said something that made him laugh. He laughed, looked over at George and Brendan. And then I remember I looked down, bro. And it wasn't me that did it, but my face came up in like this scowl at him. And he looked at me and he was like, whoa, what the heck? And then I like came out of it and I was like, George, get in here. George's like, he's got it. And then he started speaking straight to it, put his hand back on me, started speaking straight to it and got it out. And I haven't drank or used since then. Fast forward 5 days later. I'm at IHOP with Brendan. I'm sitting across from Brendan. We're having a conversation. I'm super excited. So I'm like, dude, I'm actually doing this. I have 5 days. 5 days was like huge at this time. Like that was like, so he's sitting across from me and we're talking. And then I get this text message on my phone. I just have this little flip phone and it's from my dope dealer. He's like, hey, I just got some new stuff. It's fire, bro. I'll give you a free 20 to try out. And I'm reading it. And then spirit comes on me. Even more intense than high school, bro. All the way through my head, in my body, my whole body is tingling. I lose my peripheral vision where all I can see is my phone, and then my thumbs start texting, bro. And it was like, ye shall not text me again. It's like texting back in King James. And then the last sentence, it says, and fear the pain you cause your son because your son has been blessed with the Holy Spirit.
Oh.
Spirit leaves me. I feel the spirit leave me. And then I look at it again. I'm like, what the heck? Because as I'm writing it, I can't even read it. Like, what the heck? And I show it to Brendan. I was like, dude, that was not me. I did not write that. And he reads it. He's like, okay. And then I push send. And then I'm putting it in my pocket. And I was like, dude, I don't know what the heck is going on. And then I look back up and Jesus Christ is sitting across from me. His face is in front of Brendan. He's glowing. The entire restaurant is like gone. It's like I entered eternity in a moment. He was glowing in brilliance. His smile was impeccable. And he was just looking at me. And I remember this immediate knowledge, bro. It was just like this wealth of infinite wisdom and knowledge just dropped on me. I knew who he was. I knew what was going on. I immediately fell with my face to the table and I said, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. And I came back up and he was gone. 20 days later, and here's the thing that he taught me through this process also. And I'm speaking this to anybody out there who knows Jesus. Knowing Jesus isn't enough. You have work to do. For the next 20 days, I'm still white knuckling it. I still have the obsession. I still feel like I have to use. But I'm doing work. I did the 12 steps. I'm doing work every single day. My sponsor was picking me up every single morning and taking me to go do the work. On day 25, I did my 5th step, which is where we take our whole life, our whole past, our whole history, and we lay it out to somebody. It's basically confession. It's a confession. And so I did that. And then on day 26, bro, he came and picked me up. We're riding in his 1983 mailman Jeep on our way to his movie theater to go do work. And I'm looking out at this beautiful sunrise, bro. and I had a spiritual awakening that for the first time since I was 12 years old, I had no desire to drink or use that day. It was like one moment, everything about life was concluding on, I need drugs. I need alcohol. I need something to put in my body to feel okay. And then it was like complete blackout from that. A new light, a new dawn, a whole new life was opened up to me in that moment.
Wow.
On day 30, I had never had 30 days clean and sober. This is the first time I've ever had 30 days clean and sober. On day 30, I prayed to God. I was like, God, you are so good. I have a journal that I took that morning with the date on it. God, you're so good. Thank you so much for 30 days clean and sober. I don't want to smoke cigarettes anymore. Show me what you can do. I haven't had a drag of a cigarette since day 30 clean and sober. On day 38, I'm 8 days away from a pack-a-day smoking habit. On day 38, I run a mile in 7 minutes and 18 seconds. And this entire time, I'm praying to God, God, they don't believe in me. Make miracles happen so they believe in you. I'm in the shower every morning with water running on me. I'm like, God, restore my mind. Restore my mind, God. Let them see your power through me, God. They don't believe in me. Make them believe in you, God. And I'm going hard at it. And I don't care anymore. I got to a point where my only option was God. And thank God. I pray that anybody listening to this is imparted with the dependence upon God for anything you're dealing with right now. We have a cheat code to life, bro. We have direct access to the throne of grace.
Come on.
And an intercessor who is in the courts of heaven on our behalf, telling the devil to shut up, go away. You don't get to say that about my son.
Come on.
Amen.
Wow. I want to quickly touch on something because in your book, and guys, I've put the link to Adam's book and Adam's Facebook page. You can check it out in the caption so you can stay connected. And all of you guys that are putting awesome comments on here, look, this is for people that are struggling with addiction, struggling with no hope. Make sure you share this in pages and groups that you know, with parents that have kids that are struggling, whatever it is. Make sure you get this word out, man, because there is something amazing happening, right? So in your book cover, Adam, you have this picture of you like that, and then you have this, well, like a demonic spirit. I mean, you wanted to call this slaughtering the demon of addiction. I want you to just address that, man. Tell us a little bit, the demon, because some people don't really, like, they want to ignore that. Like, there are demons and demons of addiction especially. So maybe you can share a little bit on that.
Yeah, bro. They're real. Like, I got to a point where for almost a year, I was actually able to see them. I was able to see the demons. I was able to see them. They were in different leaders. They were in different people. They were around. I woke up one time. I was sleeping on the couch of my friend Veronica's house, and I woke up at 3 a.m. on the dot, and I shot up because I felt something, and over the door is this 9-foot demon staring at me with big old red eyes. And the thing was that I was giving them a foothold to my life through drug addiction or through all the different sins that were happening in that. They had a hold on me, but the Lord gave me discernment to see them. And he showed me the reality of it. And the reason why I say that we're slaughtering the demon of addiction is that Jesus is coming for you, and he doesn't want you here anymore. And he says, no more. This is not yours. We have dominion of this planet, and we're coming for you. We're children of the Most High God, and we're coming for you. You're no longer welcome in Jesus' name. And that's the awesome thing, bro, is that us just declaring that. A lot of people are too stuck in trying to help the addict. It is up to us. The thing is this spirit goes at us young, bro. This spirit starts young. And he starts indoctrinating us with different thoughts about ourselves for different needs that we have, and takes us away from God. Guess what? Not happening anymore. I say we're slaughtering him because, bro, you as soon as you slaughter this demon yourself, you now have the authority to take it out on someone else. in Jesus' name. You can do
Come on.
anything you want to him. You can stomp on him and tell him no. You have that authority. And I love it. Like, dude, I have these visions of these huge movements of, dude, this thing getting kicked out, bro. And it's happening. It's already happening. I'm witnessing it happening. So I say slaughtering him because Jesus, although Jesus is the Prince of Peace, bro, he did not come to bring peace. He came with a sword. And bro, I just have these. That's the number one thing that's taking us out right now is the demon of addiction. This is the first time in American history that our life expectancy has gone down. No more. I say no more.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wow. You mentioned that you saw demons for a season, and you said even in leaders. I mean, I don't really want to go too deep on this, but what are you meaning by that? Like, were you actually seeing things with your eyes? And did you ever have an encounter with a demon that went really deep or anything like that?
Yeah. So one time I was, this is when I was living at the homeless shelter, the Mission. There was this event at a park down the street where there was a bunch of nonprofits coming together. They had booths and stuff. It was all centered in addiction, but it wasn't affiliated with any church or any fellowship or anything like that. It was just like a community get together about addiction. And they brought in this speaker, and he had 2 PhDs. He had one in philosophy and one in psychology. And he had this whole practice for helping addicts. And I remember I was there and I was like talking to everybody, like having a good time, whatever. And I have like 22 days, 23 days clean or something like that. I was still like drinking sometimes. So I didn't actually have it, but I wasn't using at the time, which was awesome. But I remember sitting there on this bench, and there was this whole crowd of people in this park, like benches and chairs and everything. And he starts talking and speaking to everybody and telling people there's a spirit to everything on this planet. There's a spirit to this tree. There's a spirit to this park bench. There's a spirit to this grass. There's a spirit to the food you're drinking or eating. And there's a spirit to the water you're drinking. And yes, there's a spirit to every substance. The problem is that you have come under agreement with this spirit, and it has control of you in addiction. And then he starts talking about how you can speak to the spirit and make a friendship with this spirit and a new covenant, a new agreement with the spirit of cocaine so that you can stop using. And he starts talking about how much pain and suffering has gone into every kilo of cocaine because there's so much death and destruction and greed and all this stuff centered into this 1 kilo. And then he's talking about this, and he's like naming off a whole bunch of different spirits. And I all of a sudden I was just like raise my hand real high, and everybody like looks at me, the whole crowd looks at me, and he like goes, "Yes, a question?" I said, "Well, isn't there like one all-powerful, all-good force that you can come under agreement with? Because let's say hypothetically you deal with greed, lust, cocaine, crack, meth, heroin." I start naming these things off. I was like, I don't know how I could possibly talk to all of those. And the whole crowd goes, "Ooh, that's a good question." And he looks at me, and he's forced to answer this now. He says, "Well, the only one that was ever able to do that was Jesus, right?" I said, "Yeah." And then he keeps going with his speech. At the end of his speech, I'm over at one of the tables, and I'm like talking to these people. Then I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's from his assistant. And his assistant's like, "Hey, Dr. Yada Yada wants to grant you a mini session. He's waiting over there for you." And she points over to this, and it's summertime. And she points over to this gazebo with the concrete pillars and the blue roof, right? And he's sitting in the middle of it. There's nothing else under there except for him sitting on a chair, his back turned to me, and then a chair sitting in front of him, empty. And I remember getting excited. I was like, "Really cool." And I walk over there, and I put my hand on. I'm like, "Hey, I'm Adam Gunton. Nice to meet you." It's like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Just wanted to get to know you a little bit." And I sat down with him, and bro, he literally from that moment, began teaching me how to summon demons. He was telling me that, okay, so you believe in Jesus, right? Okay, so when you're talking to people, what you need to do when you're taking on all of their hurt or you're taking on all of these emotions that they're feeling, envision Jesus is standing behind you. And all of their emotions, all of their feelings, all of their pain is going through your heart and hitting him. And then he receives all of it for you, which is totally against scripture. So you need to guard your heart with all vigilance, for through it are the wellspring of life. And Jesus is a shield in front of you. So he's teaching me that. And then he starts telling me, okay, you can start talking to demons. He didn't call them demons, he called them spirits. You can use spirits for what you want. They'll help you. What they really love is offerings. So whenever you're eating, whenever you sit down, before you take a bite of your food, take a sprinkle of it, set it to the side of your plate, and offer it to them. Tell them, thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being my friend. And offer it to them and just set it next to your plate. Wow. And then he leans in and he says, but the thing they love most is water. And as he leaned in, a spirit came out of his face, and it was like black with white smoky eyes, and the mouth were like teeth, bro. And then it came out, it smiled, and then came back in. And he said what they love most is water, because they're thirsty and they can't get a drink. So every time you sit down to eat, take a bottle of water, open it, take a sip of it, offer it to them, set it to the side, and don't do anything else. Don't touch that water. And at the time, bro, I'm so open and willing to do anything to get clean, bro. I'm willing to do anything. But first thing I do is I run down to the Crystal Lounge Casino, which has a poker table. I have $20 to my name, bro. I sit down at the poker table with $20 in chips, a bottle of water. I take a sip of the water. I said, under my breath, I said, spirit of gambling, let's see what you got. And I set it to the side. First hand, I'm playing Texas Hold'em. I get 10-3 offsuit. If you know anything about poker, you fold. I went all in. 2 people called behind me. Flop comes 10-10-3.
Crazy. It's
real. And if there's something that they can make materialize in the physical realm in order to take your soul, they're going to do it. Now they can't. Yeah. If anybody's listening to this and thinks that sounds cool, the reason why I don't go into demonic stuff is because it's not. It's just real.
And there's a trade-off.
Oh, dude. I was 4 days later, maybe 2 days later, 2 or 3 or 4 days later is when I got kicked out of the homeless shelter. I had 2 more really crazy, because basically they had hold of me then. And then 2 or 3 days of just onslaught, bro. Just like all these crazy things that I was seeing and experiencing and feeling, and then I used. And I just went absolutely insane. I got kicked out of the homeless shelter. Yeah, it was awful. And scary, bro. It's not fun to see them. It's scary.
That's right.
Yeah.
And when you trade in that realm, there is never peace, there's never joy, there is never love, no matter what manifests, right?
Right.
Wow. So someone's gonna make a movie on your life, bro.
Yeah, I've got a friend that's talking about it. Yeah. I just had breakfast with him before this.
So now, how long have you gone totally sober?
2 years, 2 months, and 11 days.
Come on, man. And what's been happening in terms of God and Holy Spirit and your Father showing you things?
Bro, it's crazy, man. He's taken me from I was at a job that it was great. I had full benefits, 6 figures, all that. I just I wasn't happy. I wasn't purposeful. And he literally told me one day, quit. He just said, quit. And I went into the office and I quit. And then I went to a mountaintop and I started reading my Bible, because that's all I know how to do is rely on God, because I was a little nervous about quitting. But in reality, like I have the God of creation on my side, so I didn't really care. But I go to the top of the mountain and I'm reading, and I'm in Psalms, and then I read like that you run away like a bird on a mountaintop and search for God. I was like, amen. I was like, yes. And then after that, bro, it's just been this, I'm back into entrepreneurship. I came on as partner for a genetic testing company last year, right around this time, about a month from now. And we actually, we built it to a 7-figure company between February and the end of the year. We employ about, right now we're at between 15 and 20 people. And then when I came out to the 100X conference, I had some super dramatic encounters with Holy Spirit, because now all my spiritual experiences, they're all God.
Yeah.
It's no longer like, oh, I saw a demon, or this or that. It's like these dramatic encounters with God, bro.
Come on.
Like, and they're way more profound. And 10-10-3 on a flop can't touch what God does, bro.
Yeah.
Can't even hold water to it.
Yeah.
And so I'm at this conference and I'm worshiping the first night, and he literally tells me the name of your company is Recovered on Purpose. It's like, okay, boom, 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 boom. I buy the domain name right there. And I just have these dramatic encounters that whole week. Shout out 100X. And I went home, and in 5 weeks, I went from blank page to #1 best-selling author. And then since then, because that's what he told me to do. And now that I'm connected with purpose and connected with, like doing what he tells me to do, he keeps giving me seed. And I'm watering them and watering them and watering them and watering them. And he has the ability to make things happen rapidly if we listen and we follow. Jesus doesn't say, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. He says, follow me. I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Come on.
The more that I follow him without indoctrinating religiosity into my life, and I just follow him, and I don't conform to the world. I'm not saying that I don't ever. I'm not saying that I struggle with different things like we all humans do. But the closer I get with him, the more rapid things happen, bro. Like literally in end of September, I was depressed. I was, before I went to that conference, I was suicidal, but then had all these dramatic encounters. And since then, my life is completely different, completely different. And I'm loving it, bro. I'm loving I've got my company is now international. I've got someone in Canada, and then people all over the United States that are writing and publishing their books, their stories of before, during, and after addiction. And the point is that we're raising up an army. This year is all about raising up the army. Yes, next week I'm speaking in 2 schools, and I'm speaking at a different stage. But the point of this year is I'm raising up an army, getting prepared to launch huge next year with programs for the United States school system.
Come on.
So that we can end addiction. Sorry, devil. No, I'm not. You're out. You're out.
I love it, man. I love it. We've been going nearly an hour. It's gone really quick here. It's crazy. Yeah. And I'm super, super excited for everything that you're saying, everything that you're about to do. I want to hit on a subject here because, when a man hits rock bottom, when a woman hits rock bottom, they rely on God differently, right, to someone else who has so many options, right? But there is something about taking action, and I'm all about pushing, because I think the church as a whole, we really struggle with just taking action. Whether it's imperfect, whether it's not that great, whether we might be scared of making a mistake, we're not good at taking action. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because you are just an action taker, right? And you do it all the time. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, when I'm talking about those seeds, and I start watering them and watering them and watering them, like he's given seeds to a lot of different people. And the thing is that we can miss destiny, bro. Destiny is
Yeah.
not something that is just going to happen out of osmosis. Like, faith without works is dead. There's a reason why they tell us that. Yeah, salvation. Congratulations, bro. You're going to heaven. Yay. There's a lot of people that aren't. There's a lot of people that need you. And it's dependent on action. And here's the thing, bro. Like, happiness is directly correlated to progress. Directly correlated to progress and purpose, bro. And the only way that you can connect all those three things together is action. If you are sitting on a book idea, you know this now, Joseph. What the heck are you doing? That book, literally, someone could read that book and come up to you in San Diego at a conference with your book that they bought online, hand it to you, and say, thank you so much for your book. It changed my life. I have 3 weeks clean. Will you sign it for me? Your book, your idea, your business idea, that girl that you're afraid to ask out, that might be your wife.
Yeah. That
God prepared for you before the formation of the earth. And if you don't talk to her, if you don't ask her out, she's not your wife. That book might be someone else's salvation. You don't know. And the only thing that's going to take you from idea to reality is action. And it's so fulfilling, bro.
Yeah.
I can tell you, and you know this too now, having the book being finished, it lasts about 10 to 15 seconds with wow, bro. Wow, I'm a published author. The process of doing it and the confidence in yourself, the identity of you being someone that completes something, you being someone that does the action that needs to be taken. You need to do that. There's so much life to live in such a short amount of time. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself that tomorrow exists. I lost 9 friends last year.
Wow.
Do it now. Wake up. Let's go.
Come on. Boom. This so resonates, man. Fused life. Boom. That's what we're about. I love everything you're about, bro. Let's hit one last thing. So, people that fear mistakes. Do you make mistakes? How do you approach even that fear of maybe you're doing something wrong or maybe you're making a mistake? And if you did make a mistake or something did go wrong, how do you recover from that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I make so many mistakes. And if it weren't for my mistakes, I wouldn't be able to progress. I wouldn't have anything to work on. Like, I went to this gala, and dude, the relationships I was building, the conversations I was having, all this stuff was great. But I wasn't focused on the things I was making mistakes at or failures or whatever. But I'm aware of where I could have grown in that conversation, how I could have impacted that person better, what I could have said in that moment. Because when failure is awesome. It's so good for you, because if you're walking around perfect, that's like, I don't want that kind of responsibility. I don't want to be hung on a cross. Sorry. But the thing is that through our mistakes is where our growth is. And stepping out, like, I promise you, the feeling of being stagnant and not doing what you're supposed to do, even if it's comfortable, when you break out of that and you start just taking the actions, just doing what you need to do, the feeling of I'm way more comfortable in the zone of action, in the zone of mistakes than sitting stagnant. I can't do it. I have to continue to progress. And if you have a personality type that, where you're analytical or whatever, make the decision, make an informed, wise decision, and go. And if you make a mistake or you fail, awesome. Will Smith says something to the effect of fail often, fail quick. Fail quick and fail often. Because as soon, like when you're working out, the best growth in your muscles is when you get to a point where you can barely lift them up. That's when growth happens, because you have to break it down. So mistakes and failure are key. Those are the key.
Come on. Come on,
Yeah.
man. Hey, I vibe with this message. I think Fuse Life, everyone that normally listens to our stuff would be vibing with this fully, man. We talk about this all the time. And I love what you're saying. I love your message. Love who you are. I want to thank you again for your time, for coming on here. Maybe in the future we can do another episode, but we can fully kind of nail down one subject, whether that's trauma or whether that's moving past or something like that. We come up with something. But I just want to say thank you, bro. Thank you so much for your time and for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, bro. This has been awesome. I really enjoy you, man. Everything.
Yeah, man. And you guys that were listening, thank you so much. Remember, you got to share this with people. We are infiltrating the social media space. I used to get really annoyed when Christians would try and be all like holy, saying they get off social media. And by doing that, you are giving away territory. And through here, I mean, look at what's happening. Like this man's voice can save a life in some other nation, and they can encounter God. Like God has given us social media, right? So I encourage you to share this around. And Adam, before we leave, I always get my guests to share a wisdom quote, a wisdom bomb, or a one-liner. What is something that you're holding strong in this season of your life?
Yeah. The way that you are in your relationship with God is how you are with your relationship with life. When I feel obligated to sit down and read my Bible, do my journal, pray, meditate, if I feel obligated, everything in my life becomes an obligation to me. But when I take that time as the most delightful moments of my day, my life and everything I do in it is delightful.
Wow. You want to say that again? So the way that I treat my relationship with God is the way that I relate to life?
I would say the way that you are in your relationship with God is the way that you are in your relationship with life.
Love it. Love it. Boom. I mean, A.W. Tozer said something along those lines too. So I love it, man. Yeah. I love it. Adam, thank you so much. This has been great. It's gone quick. It's been fire. We're going to come back at some point with another episode with a little bit more detail going into certain subjects. But guys, I've put both the links to connect with Adam on there, to buy his book, and the Facebook page, and for you to share this. Make sure you share it with anyone that's going to benefit from it. So thank you guys for joining us. Adam, you stay with me, but for now, we're going to say bye to the live audience. Catch you guys later.
Faith and patience. Faith and patience. Patience means allow it to happen. Stay the same. Stay persistent. Keep going. Faith, know that it can happen at any moment. Get excited because it can happen at any moment. You were so close. Don't quit now. Keep pushing. You got this.